Brady Tkachuk saying that if his brother did miss that overtime period against Canada like we saw him do, it must be serious out there. And of course, Brady Tkachuk, not a doctor, but you've got to wonder the status of Matthew Tkachuk and what we're going to find out.
Game time for all of these teams and all these players that were, teammates. Now they're facing off against each other. Now they're back to being teammates, whatever it might be. Like, it's time to get things rolling back in the right direction.
HL Today, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You have Duke the 1, Houston the 2. They're the two best defensive teams in the country. I want to see them play for the right to go to the Final Four because I think that would be a kick-ass game.
Duke is really great on both ends of the floor. They can score and they can defend, and that's why they win by big numbers all the time, because they're really good on both ends of the floor. I don't trust Houston's offense.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's a Friday. Hello and welcome to it, live right here on the Early Line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern Time. On a Friday to look back on a Thursday on the hardwood, both in the NBA, a shorter slate of only 5 games, but some history and big-time performances, like a 56-point performance out of Stephen Curry last night on the road in Orlando. Luka, LeBron, and the Lakers continue to roll. We had another buzzer beater on the day before the month of March in college basketball in the state of Michigan. There is so much to break down. And, of course, DRS during NFL Scouting Combine Week in Indianapolis. The news and notes around the National Football League continue to roll in.
They do continue to roll in. I just sent a tweet out that says, is the Combine over yet? Because it can't get over fast enough for me. If I see another tweet out here that a linebacker had some good reps and could be a sleeper in the draft, get out of town. You have enough tape on these guys. End it now. By the way, we're always talking about saving money. Save money. Cut the Combine. How about that?
Yeah, but the Combine provides the NFL money, so they're never going to do that. Commissioner Rightside should know better.
Too many
Just
jets
don't
flying in.
Don't look at any football news until the end of Sunday. You're good. You're fine. Then it will be over, and then you can focus on your favorite event in the NFL. That would be the draft in one of your favorite locations it could possibly be held, in Green Bay, Wisconsin. All is good, DRS. Be cheerful. It's a Friday, my friend. You're not working this weekend. Let's have a blast. We will be breaking down a ton of college hoops entering this weekend slate as well. Our second to last regular season weekend at the high major level. The race for conference tournaments and those regular season championships continue throughout the weekend. And of course, DRS, we have conference tournaments at the mid-major level beginning as early as Sunday. It is a beautiful sight as March is tomorrow. I'm sure your calendars are already marked. Let's get to the news around the NFL. Some speculation, some conjecture. Would Travis Kelce return to the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL at large in 2025? During Super Bowl week, he said, yep, Still got a lot of tread left on these tires after the Chiefs come up short on Super Bowl Sunday. He said, I'm going to kick the can down the road and take a lot of time to reflect. Not all that much time, as Travis Kelce has made it clear. He is returning to Kansas City in 2025.
Shout out. He wants to actually come back and be a two-time loser to the Philadelphia Eagles if they make it to the Super Bowl next year, talking about the Chiefs. But this was probably expected at this point. You always want to go out on your own terms, even though for me, like, what other terms do you need? Multiple-time Super Bowl champion, the best tight end to ever play football, getting up there in age. And it's not like when you retire, your income shuts off, because it's probably going to double and triple once that happens for Travis Kelce. It's the way it is. He's a competitor. Can't hate it. That's a good football team. And anytime you have Patrick Mahomes, your quarterback, and Andy Reid designing plays for you to get open, probably makes it a little bit easier to come back, no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. 35 years old, that is Travis Kelce, about to embark on year number 13 in the NFL, all of them in KC. He has been a Pro Bowler each of the past 10 years, and although the production has slipped a little bit from a first-team All-Pro level, which he had been a ton throughout his NFL career the last 2 seasons, still the top target in KC a year ago. The only player for Kansas City with more than 100 targets last season. Still that top target for Patrick Mahomes, and should be able to provide yet another boost for the Chiefs, who will enter this year not as the reigning Super Bowl champs for the first time since 2022, but still as the reigning AFC champions as well. More news out of Kansas City. Trey Smith, the Pro Bowl guard along that offensive line. Donnie, maybe the most consistent member of that O-line this year for the Chiefs, has been placed under the franchise tag by KC. He has spent all 4 years of his NFL career in Kansas City. His rookie deal is up. The Chiefs have tagged him. They don't have a lot of salary cap to pay the tag. It wouldn't make a lot of fiscal sense, but they have tagged him by all indications just to have the upper hand and make sure he can't test the free market so they can work on that long-term extension.
Smart business move for Kansas City, because you saw in the Super Bowl the offensive line was a deficiency in that, and to lose you're arguably one of your best, because their center is really good as well. Their guard, you can't do that. This at least gives you the tag. You can free up some cap space, see how the offseason goes, and still at the same time trying to work out a negotiation for that player. Now also, when we talk about the tag, it's not as if they tagged him for $7 million. That tag means he's the highest paid guard per year in NFL history. So that means they really like him. He probably wants to stay there, but he doesn't want to play under that franchise tag. Doesn't matter how much money that is. Get that big guaranteed money contract. Hopefully the Chiefs can work that out.
And I'm sure they will. That will be the idea for Brett Veach and that KC front office. Let's get into college basketball on the eve of March. Today, the final day of February. Tomorrow is Saturday, March 1st. Something is happening in the Big Ten. At the buzzer last night, Nimari Burnett delivers a game winner as Michigan avoids what would be a costly upset at home against Rutgers to win 84-82. The Maize and Blue down by a point in the final seconds of regulation. Nimari Burnett delivers for the Wolverines. 14 Big Ten wins this year for Dusty May and company. And Donnie, make that 9 consecutive victories for Michigan, decided by 4 points or fewer.
By the way, that shot, you're going to say, how could you leave the guy wide open? No, that was really good defense and an even better shot at the buzzer. You can't fault Rutgers. Sometimes kids are going to rise up, shine, and make that big shot. Michigan last night, they did that. You're right. Something in the state of Michigan here about being clutch late heading into March.
Trey Holloman from past half court in College Park on Wednesday night. Nimari Burnett delivers for Michigan last night to keep the Maize and Blue atop the Big Ten standings alongside Michigan State. The Spartans do have that tiebreaker. Something about February 27th in Stephen Curry's career. Last night, 56 points, 12 made triples to lead the Warriors to a road win in Orlando, 121-115.
Yeah, I wish I would have known that he was going to go off for 56 points, because I wouldn't have taken the under 212.5 in that game. 19 triples taken, 25 total shots, which included a perfect 12 of 12 from the free throw line. The Golden State Warriors, after that Jimmy Butler trade, everything's coming up roses for them right now.
The Dubs have won 7 of 8 with Jimmy Butler in the fold. They have covered in all 7 victories. Last night, 4.5-point road favorite, a dramatic comeback in the third quarter. The Milwaukee Bucks, a home dog, catching 3.5 points last night against the Denver Nuggets, win outright. A big victory for the Bucks in the Eastern Conference standings, 121-112 over the Nugs.
Yeah, even Jokic, what did he do? Chip in with 32, 14, and 10, and it wasn't enough. I thought the Denver Nuggets were the right side last night in that basketball game, but the Milwaukee Bucks, the better team at home, which included 37 points in the closeout fourth quarter for them.
28 points, 19 boards, and 7 dimes for Giannis Antetokounmpo to match that triple-double for Nikola Jokic, a 30-point triple-double. And even LeBron James, at the age of 40, continues to rack up the stats. 33 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists last night. Luka pours in 21 points and 13 boards as well as the Lakers stay hot. 4 consecutive wins, 14 of their last 17. 111-102 at home last night against the T-Wolves. The Lakers cover.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards came in a little bit banged up last night. Only played 26 minutes and only shot 12 times from the floor. And also, the Lakers opened up with a first-quarter lead, 33-17, and away they went. Look at the Lakers out here playing good defense as well, holding the Minnesota Timberwolves to right around 100 points.
L.A., a 6-point home favorite. They make good on that number. An emotional in-person interview for Greg a meeting, I should say, for Greg Popovich yesterday with his team in San Antonio to tell the Spurs he will not return this season. The first meeting he has had with San Antonio since suffering a scary stroke back in November. Pop's NBA future remains a little bit uncertain. We'll talk NFL news from Combine Week in Indy. Up next.
Brady Tkachuk saying that if his brother did miss that overtime period against Canada like we saw him do, it must be serious out there. And of course, Brady Tkachuk, not a doctor, but you've got to wonder the status of Matthew Tkachuk and what we're going to find out.
Game time for all of these teams and all these players that were, teammates. Now they're facing off against each other. Now they're back to being teammates, whatever it might be. Like, it's time to get things rolling back in the right direction.
HL today, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You have Duke the 1, Houston the 2. They're the 2 best defensive teams in the country. I want to see them play for the right to go to the Final Four because I think that would be a kick-ass game.
Duke is really great on both ends of the floor. They can score and they can defend, and that's why they win by big numbers all the time, because they're really good on both ends of the floor. I don't trust Houston's offense.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It is Combine Week in Indianapolis, Donnie's favorite week on the NFL calendar and Donnie's favorite city in the United States. So as it continues, the prospects finally on the field working out yesterday, running fast, lifting weights, going around cones. All is great with the drills that we are seeing in Indianapolis, but as DRS knows very well, it's not just about the workouts or the prospects in Indianapolis. It's about the NFL all being in all in one place, and a ton of news coming out. That includes DRS. Even this morning, Our breaking Matthew Stafford daily update from Diana Rossini of The Athletics. The Rams are set to meet with Matthew Stafford at their facility in person today regarding his future. The Raiders and Giants, the two frontrunners perhaps, to lure Matthew Stafford from L.A., have discussed a 2-year contract for Stafford that includes $90 to $100 million guaranteed. So that, your daily Matthew Stafford update. And Donnie, maybe we get a decision as early as this afternoon about Stafford's future in Los Angeles.
It would be great to see because we want to see where Matthew Stafford goes and also understand the whys of it here and why he's leaving Los Angeles. Let's understand something here. You see the contracts that's going to be, expected to be 2 years with close to $100 million guaranteed. And I say, all right, very good quarterback, Super Bowl champion, maybe when it's all said and done, going to be a Hall of Famer. I get it. But the two teams offering up that money doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Understand this. Tom Brady, love you. You brought in a head coach that should be a good steward for that franchise. You have a depleted roster here and also looking at 3 really good football teams in your own division. So this is the perfect time to completely tank out, get your young quarterback on the roster, and in 3 to 4 years, when those other teams might be on the come down, you are on the come up at this point. So here's what Tom Brady you're going to do. You'll get Matthew Stafford. Great. Hey, he threw 50 touchdowns last year. No, he didn't. He threw 20 last year. So what are the upside expectations for the Vegas Raiders? 7, 8 wins, missed the playoffs, and $50 million guaranteed to a player who's going to hurt your draft stock and not give you the ability to get your future quarterback. Let's look at the New York Giants and play it out the exact same way. Joe Shane never should be in charge of the 2025 roster. He is in complete self-preservation mode, so he's going like, hey, we were really bad last year. If I get a good quarterback, we win 2 more games, I can go to Mr. Mara and say, hey, I should be back next year, and the same thing with Brian Dable. The Giants paying the quarterback $100 million over the next 2 years so they don't get their future quarterback either. Make it make sense because it doesn't.
Donnie, it doesn't make sense for any party, the Raiders or the Giants, as you just laid out. For the Rams, I'm not so sure what the thought is right now. By all reports, they're comfortable with Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, Sean McVay is enough of an offensive genius that maybe it can work. But the Rams with Matthew Stafford has been fully healthy in 3 of his 4 years in Los Angeles, have won a Super Bowl, have made it to the postseason all 3 years, and were really the only team last year in the playoffs to put a scare into our eventual Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. You have a young and promising defense that should improve year over year, even if Cooper Kupp is traded. You have so much promising young talent on the offensive side of the football, and you have the best offensive play caller still in the sport. It should have been very simple this offseason. Let's run it back. Let's move even further past the divisional round. Stafford, in your final couple years in the NFL, will get you back to the pinnacle of this sport. For Matthew Stafford himself, he has played in a dome the entirety of his 16 years in the NFL. Now, Vegas, of course, still a warm weather city and inside. Why would you ever want to go to the New York Giants? And outside of the weather, Donnie, Matthew Stafford might have 2 years tops remaining in his NFL career, about to embark on year number 17 at 37 years old. You want to contend, you would think, at the very tail end of your career at the highest level of the sport, even if he is added to the Raiders or the Giants. That team's not going to be expected to win more than 7, 8 games at the absolute most. The Raiders and the Giants, even with the addition of Matthew Stafford, will not be considered a playoff threat.
There are 2 things you can do at the end of your career. Matthew Stafford's clearly choosing one. Hey, I got my ring. I'm not ring chasing anymore. I just want money. I will go to a horrible franchise like the Raiders if they'll pay me more than the Rams. I will go to an even worse organization in the New York Giants if they pay me more than the Los Angeles Rams. And also think about this. Well, Matthew Stafford, is he ever worth $50 million? In the right situation, yes. Oh, look, Lamar Jackson retired. You know what? That's your spot, Matthew Stafford. Chance to win a ring. Oh, Jalen Hurts decided, you know what? Had enough fun. MVP of the Super Bowl. I'm still young in my career. I don't want to get hurt. I have other business ventures. Then you can be with the Philadelphia Eagles, and them paying you $50 million makes some sense. It doesn't make sense to me because, again, the 30 for 30 on ESPN that we might have in the next couple years on how Stafford actually got out of Los Angeles is going to be phenomenal for an up-and-coming team that he's already won a Super Bowl with the best play caller in Los Angeles and in a dome says, you know what? I want to go to some of the worst teams in the NFL to finish out my career in style. I still can't comprehend it, but I love watching the car crash.
I will never comprehend it if it actually happens. And Donnie, we had joked, right? It seemed like rumor and speculation maybe started by his wife on a podcast. Now it certainly has legs, and there is definitely a disconnect in L.A. between the Rams, the front office, and Matthew Stafford. We'll see if it can be smoothed over this afternoon in that reported in-person meeting. But don't just take Donnie and my word for it. Look at what the odds market is saying. The Rams opened as a 32-1 price to win Super Bowl 60. That has moved back by $10. And Matthew Stafford is still under contract and on the roster in Los Angeles. 42-1, the price for the Rams. Okay, so did the Raiders move up the board? Are they a playoff contender? How about the Giants? No, there are 3 teams around the NFL with a 200-1 price, all tied for the longest and worst odds to win a Lombardi Trophy this upcoming season. The Titans, the Raiders, and the Giants. Obviously, that price would get slightly shorter if Matthew Stafford were to join either organization, but not a ton.
No, and again, it's wild to think that these are the 2 teams. And also, wouldn't you just be better off if you're the Giants? Just then sign Aaron Rodgers, draft your quarterback, and spin him out after a year. And understand this, too. You're going to have to pay $100 million over 2 years. And also, you're giving up draft compensation and high draft compensation at the same time for these 2 teams that need as many draft picks as they can keep.
Well said, DRS. Very well said. The NFL never stops. We'll talk more about the National Football League next.
Brady Tkachuk saying that if his brother did miss that overtime period against Canada like we saw him do, it must be serious out there. And of course, Brady Tkachuk, not a doctor, but you've got to wonder the status of Matthew Tkachuk and what we're going to find out.
Game time for all of these teams and all these players that were, teammates. Now they're facing off against each other. Now they're back to being teammates, whoever it might be. Like, it's time to get things rolling back in the right direction.
HL today, only on SportsGrid.
We know the Knicks are talented. They're 37-20. It's not a bad season by any stretch. They're just not being the upper echelon team.
This is the Knicks team right now. They're a very good team. And I'm a Knicks fan. You can't look at there and say, this team can win a championship. They're not good enough. They're not good enough defensively. Are we the New York Knicks or are we the New York Fugazis? Just forget about it.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You have Duke the 1, Houston the 2. They're the 2 best defensive teams in the country. I want to see them play for the right to go to the Final Four because I think that would be a kick-ass game.
Duke is really great on both ends of the floor. They can score and they can defend, and that's why they win by big numbers all the time, because they're really good on both ends of the floor. I don't trust Houston's offense.
Pharrell coast to coast, only on SportsGrid. The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The NFL headlines continue to pour in during Combine Week in Indianapolis. Any other Matthew Stafford updates throughout these 3 hours, I guess on a Football Friday, continue here on the Early Line. As we shared in our opening segment, big news yesterday in Kansas City in 2 spots. Travis Kelce is not walking away from football. Travis Kelce is back for the Chiefs in 2025. And Kansas City is going to place the franchise tag on their Pro Bowl right guard in Trey Smith, one of the most consistent members of that offensive line this year for the Chiefs. They will tag Trey Smith, which would be a lot to pay a guy under the franchise tag value for a team in Kansas City that has to navigate their salary cap space smartly this offseason. But, Donnie, they're really placing the tag on Trey Smith to hopefully work out a long-term extension at a point this offseason.
You know what? The tag is interesting to me because there is some give and take around the NFL. And the premise of the tag I do agree with. It's supposed to be for we just can't lose our best players because they just want to leave and this is our last hook in. But the NFLPA is like, all right, if you're going to do that, which every player hates, you're going to pay them at the top of the pay scale for that year. It's interesting to me, like the next CBA, like what happens if it would work out almost like an NBA contract, Ben, where it's like, hey, no, we like Trey Smith. We're going to place the tag, which means a 4-year guaranteed contract at, if it's $25 million a year, give or take, it's 4 years, $100 million fully guaranteed. The players would love to get the tag because that's the highest of the position at the time and extending it over the next 3 years at that point. It just hurts with the franchise tag because Trey Smith, understand this. He looks at that and goes, man, that's a lot of money. But then his agent goes, yeah, imagine if you hit free agency and I quadrupled that price for you. This is why players get upset with it and teams need it. But understand this. I don't think Kansas City is operating as if they were like Cincinnati. Like, you're going to take it because that's the contract under the law of the CBA that you get here. They want to sign him long-term, and it makes sense. You can't let that guy with this much money on the open market be a free agent because you look at the Chiefs, right around level on the salary cap. There are teams with over $100 million that will blow him out of the water, and he'll never get a chance to come back to Kansas City. So from a business perspective, it's just the way it gets down. They want him long-term, but they're not going to lose him right away. That's for sure.
They're not going to let him test the waters. They're not going to go out and have to match what a high number is because the final update on that NFL News and Notes headline board, the salary cap officially set to increase by nearly $24 million year over year. All to say, NFL teams will have the wiggle room if they want to pay somebody like Trey Smith. And first and foremost, Donnie, priority number one probably this offseason for KC, bolster up that O-line. So what happened to them in the Super Bowl against the Eagles does not continue to happen, which was their point of emphasis after their first Super Bowl loss to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers now about 3-4 years ago. And then point number two, you tag Trey Smith with the understanding that paying him $23.5 million for that one-year deal is not good business. You want to agree to a deal, even if it's in the same ballpark annually based on that average salary, so that you can maneuver with signing bonuses up front, as we have shared, and your cap hit is not nearly as large as that franchise tag value would be. You would expect to do that. They have until July 15th to agree to a long-term extension. And Donnie, last year, 9 guys tagged, either franchise or transitional tag around the NFL. 8 of the 9 agreed to a long-term extension. The only guy who did not, Cincinnati's T. Higgins, which is why Donnie is always correctly skeptical of what the Bengals are going to have to say. Elsewhere in the state of Ohio, Myles Garrett is not open to a contract extension to remain in Cleveland. He is remaining steadfast in that trade request that he wants to play for a Super Bowl contender. And Donnie, who can fault him? The Browns seem very far from that currently.
Yes, and both sides can win here. What I mean by that is Cleveland, whether or not Myles Garrett is on the roster the next 2 to 3 years, they are not winning a Super Bowl here. Myles Garrett said, look, I put in a lot of hard work as one of the best defensive players. It's not working out. I don't like the direction here. We can both win. You trade me to another team. You pick up 2 first-round picks. You can move on, and you shed my large salary that I have now, and I'm not seeking an extension. But it's understandable for the Cleveland Browns when they say, Ben, look, you're the best at your position. We can't give you up here at this point. We don't even know if 2 first-round picks even makes up for the loss that you're going to have at defensive end. But if you draft a guy like Abdul Carter in the draft, you move on from Myles Garrett, get 2 first-round picks, doesn't that sound like a good game plan for the future to restart that team and get the quarterback of your choice over the next year or two? That makes the most sense. This one is not going to get fixed early. I don't expect him to get traded by the actual draft himself because Cleveland wants him. This might be one of those like, oh, no, it's July 31st. He hasn't shown up to OTAs, worked out with us, or he's even picking up his phone. We better start calling around to see if we can now get those 2 first-round picks for him.
I kind of agree with DRS in terms of that timeline. It could be played out. More NFL news next.
Brady Tkachuk saying that if his brother did miss that overtime period against Canada like we saw him do, it must be serious out there. And of course, Brady Tkachuk, not a doctor, but you've got to wonder the status of Matthew Tkachuk and what we're going to find out.
Game time for all of these teams and all these players that were, teammates. Now they're facing off against each other. Now they're back to being teammates, whatever it might be. Like, it's time to get things rolling back in the right direction.
HL today, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You have Duke the 1, Houston the 2. They're the two best defensive teams in the country. I want to see them play for the right to go to the Final Four because I think that would be a kick-ass game.
Duke is really great on both ends of the floor. They can score and they can defend, and that's why they win by big numbers all the time, because they're really good on both ends of the floor. I don't trust Houston's offense.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to talk a little bit about the prospects at the NFL Combine because the workouts have started and the interviews with the media continue. It's been the defensive players first, those defensive linemen, some linebackers on the field running fast, lifting heavy weights yesterday. We also heard from the defensive backs and the tight ends in front of the microphone and at the podium yesterday in Indy. That includes our reigning Heisman winner in the sport, and a guy listed as a defensive back in Indy this week. That would be Colorado's two-way superstar in Travis Hunter. Of course, that was a main theme of the conversations with Hunter yesterday. What are you hearing from NFL teams about your positional value in the National Football League? Do you believe you can continue to play both ways at an incredibly high level in the NFL? Basically, he was asked about playing both positions in the National Football League and had this to say, DRS, quote, "They say nobody has ever done it the way I do it. I tell them I'm just different." And who's really to fault Travis Hunter in that line of thinking? Again, he is listed as a DB at the Combine, meaning he will go through the workouts and the preparations as a defensive back in Indianapolis this week. It does not mean he only has to play as a DB in the National Football League.
Yes, and by the way, I love his moxie. I know he's done it in college and in high school, but hear me out. You're not doing it in the pros 100% of the time. You won't make it. You won't last, trust me, and there's a reason why nobody has done that before. But understand this. Right. If I do draft him, he is an elite player on offense and defense. I want him at the cornerback position. I want him locking down the best wide receivers in football. But you know what, Ben, on offense? We're going to have packages in place on passing situations that we can use his talents. That makes the most sense. So I understand when people say, well, he can do it. And, Kevin and I were arguing on Moneyline yesterday. Well, did you see what he did at a high Division I level? Understand that. Those are 17, 18, 19, and 20-year-old players there. These are grown men. And also, you check his stature in the position he plays. He's not a middle linebacker at 6'3", 225. It's like, okay, I'll play fullback and linebacker, and we'll just go toe-to-toe. You're at a position with quick twitch where you must have great energy the entire game. He's going to play 140 snaps in an NFL football game, defending your best wideout and getting locked up or possibly locked up by the best cornerback on the other side. No, use him efficiently, which means all the time on defensive corner makes perfect sense. 10 to 15 snaps on offense in a game makes perfect sense. That'll keep him healthy for his career. I would love to see him play 100% of the snaps after week 5. Hey, man, looks like he's a little lethargic, or my hamstrings are starting to tighten up at this point. Don't do that to the kid. Come on.
Absolutely, DRS. I think you hit the nail on the head right there. In terms of his positional value, Travis Hunter is an elite, and I mean an elite, lockdown, shutdown cornerback. In college football, they would hardly even look at his half of the field. They would hardly ever target the wide receiver that Travis Hunter was guarding, and he still led the Big 12 this past year in pass deflections and pass breakups. That's how good Travis Hunter is as a corner. He is a great wide receiver. Is he a first-round pick solely as a wide receiver? Probably not. Did he rank atop a lot of the college football numbers and stats because of Colorado's very pass-heavy offense with a quarterback who's going to be a top 5, top 10 pick? Yes. Travis Hunter is going to be elite in the NFL as a defensive player. But Travis is also correct. Nobody has done it like he has. We had not seen a two-way superstar play at that level to win a Heisman Trophy on both sides of the ball, averaging nearly 140 snaps per game for the Buffaloes this past year, ever in the history of CFB. We have seen people do it. We have never seen people do it at the elite level that Travis Hunter did in 2024. But Donnie, again, he can be a top 5 pick. Frankly, he is going to be a top 5 pick more than likely. He will be an odds-on hefty favorite to be a top 5 selection at the end of April. But where he presents the best value is at the cornerback position. A plus 850 price for Travis Hunter right now. Third shortest number to be that first overall pick. Cam Ward at minus 150. Still the hefty odds-on favorite. His price getting better yesterday, despite the good injury news about Abdul Carter, the stress reaction in his right foot, not requiring surgery. So why did Cam Ward's price get a couple of cents better? Donnie, a lot of rumors starting to swirl yesterday. The Giants seem fully in on the Matthew Stafford sweepstakes, but perhaps the Giants fully in on making a run up the draft board to potentially have that first overall pick. As we have looked at these odds, the Titans were a minus 360 favorite just yesterday to be the team to draft first overall. Now it's a minus 220 price on Tennessee and a 2-1 number on the Giants. Their price getting shorter by nearly $2.
Smart. They get Matthew Stafford. I laugh at them and say, all right, they're not going to be a problem for the next 5 to 7 years. If they do get Cam Ward, understand this, like the evolution of an NFL franchise, right? Drafting Daniel Jones, we'll laugh at that. Like, hey, they drafted this guy, that's going to be the future. And then they doubled down on it by giving him a big contract. Hilarious calamity in New York. But I don't think anybody's going to blame Joe Shane, Brian Dable, and Mr. Mara by going out and saying, you know what? It's going to be Cam. That's our guy. Cam Ward, he's going to be our starter. And if it doesn't work out in 4 to 5 years, not a single person is going to go back and say, well, you should have drafted Abdul Carter. You should have drafted Travis Hunter. Like, no, the right pick in the draft is when you're bad, even if you have to use capital to go up, get the quarterback you believe is going to be your future. Because without a young quarterback playing on a cheap salary for the first 4 to 5 years, what are you actually doing when you're a bad franchise? So that's why they should drop out of the Stafford race. But if we are looking at that draft board, once again, at least the odds at the FanDuel Sportsbook, they are correct here. Those first 3 guys are the 3 best players in this draft, and I think that's exactly the way they should go 1, 2, and 3.
Interesting. Because both of the teams right now that have the first and second overall pick, the Titans and the Browns, are in desperate need of a quarterback. We'll see exactly what happens. But I think Donnie is spot on. I think we are going to see some movement early and often in the 2025 NFL Draft Board, whether that happens here soon or as we get closer to the NFL Draft in that opening round on opening night, April 24th. That remains to be seen. But I do wonder, Donnie, with so much smoke this early on in a season known for its speculation and smoke screens, that the Titans are open to listening to calls, and they have already received plenty of them for that first overall selection. And we are getting the idea from Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, they will not go quietly into that dark night of their NFL future, that they are really making an emphasis to have a huge home run hit, if you will, in terms of that quarterback market. We shall see exactly what happens. A lot to be determined this weekend. You can bet that DRS will be posted on the back porch with his TV up and making sure he is watching all the combine drills that we will see today, Saturday, and Sunday as well.
I love it, too, because I'm going to hear guys' names I never heard of with people saying, like, ooh, this guy now jumped into the 5th round when I had him projected as a 7th rounder. Man, your projections don't mean anything at this point. You know when the projection is right? Sit back and watch at the draft. That's when things start to get real, not shorts and T-shirts. And did you see this guy's 3-cone drill? Love this player. Stop the madness, man.
So it is interesting, right? Because the athletic profile does match up with the game film and the tape that you see. As we often say, it cannot be the main piece of your evaluation tool. But, Donnie, I think every scouting department has questions about this individual at his size, at his stature, at his weight. Can he do this? Can he run like this? Can he do all these things? And there can be a couple of points of emphasis that move you up or down a draft board. We shall see this weekend. My hope is very soon, I feel like it often happens around Combine Week in Indianapolis, we get more markets out for the NFL draft. Right now, it's still just that first overall pick, the team to make it and the guy to go first overall. I want second. I want third. I want fourth. I want fifth, because it provides a better picture of when Abdul Carter might go and when Travis Hunter might be selected. Don't shake your head. You're a draft handicapping savant.
Anybody that's ever played football in their career, remember what your coaches said when you guys are running around just helmets on? Wait till we get the pads on to separate the men from the boys. Get this combine out of my life.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks versus the top 3 teams in the league. Oklahoma City, Boston, Cleveland, 0-7. And you take out the 110-104 loss to Cleveland at home in October, and they lost by double digits every game. The Knicks will make the playoffs. Number 1, do they fix their defensive problems? And 2, are they actually healthy?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
You have Duke the 1, Houston the 2. They're the 2 best defensive teams in the country. I want to see them play for the right to go to the Final Four, because I think that would be a kick-ass game.
Duke is really great on both ends of the floor. They can score and they can defend, and that's why they win by big numbers all the time, because they're really good on both ends of the floor. I don't trust Houston's offense.
Pharrell coast to coast, only on SportsGrid. The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Plenty to recap around the association from a Thursday night, albeit only what?
I mean, come on, man. We're on a roll. Can we just auto shift the show as a Football Friday, man? I just saw what's coming up next, and I was just like the hot takes are just absolutely screaming. And then Ben gives a little intro. I'm like, oh, I wonder what we got coming up next year. Okay, let's see what we got coming up next.
Yeah, we got to go around the association and break down on what happened in a 5-game slate on a Thursday evening in the NBA. Donnie was feeling good on what appeared to be a football Friday early on. Don't worry, we'll talk some more football in our second hour. And just you wait for that 9:32 segment. I think you will be
you guys can come back. Come
up.
back at 9:32. You guys can come back at 9:32. We'll do the show now, though.
Yeah, we will. All right, so here we go. As we go back to last night in the NBA, we start in Milwaukee. The Bucks, a 3.5-point home dog against the Denver Nuggets in a game we called a finals preview. Well, if Milwaukee plays the way they did last night, then maybe, just maybe, the Bucks win outright as a 3.5-point home underdog, 121-112 over the Nuggets. Just the second loss for Denver, DRS, in their last 12 games. Milwaukee as an underdog, now 9-9 against the spread this year. They have been booked as a dog in 6 of their last 8. They've won 4 of those 6 outright.
Yeah, I actually thought the Nuggets were the right play coming into this one, but sometimes you look at the box score and say, understandable why Milwaukee actually won this game over the Nuggets. You take a look at getting to the free throw line. One team got there 11 times. One team got there 28 times. So making 23 free throws to 9, major advantage. We all know that when you line up from three-point range, sometimes it's who outdoes each other from the line. Now look at last night. Both shot actually 34 three-point shots. The road team, which were the Nuggets, they made 9. The home team, they made 14. Case in point right there. You're not going to win if you get decimated at the free throw line and the three-point line in today's NBA. Yeah. And it is funny that the finals preview that we were joking about yesterday was, well, Denver can get there. We don't know if Milwaukee can get there. And then there's Milwaukee, the same thing we talked about. There's still Dame there. There's still Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just a couple years ago, they did win an NBA championship. So the premise is for Milwaukee to get some of what we had before back before the season ends. And that's a good start to it last night.
It really is. And you need a generational type performance or a really big game at the very least out of your guys when Nikola Jokic on the other side drops 32, 14, and 10. Yet another 30-plus point triple-double for the 3-time MVP winner in the last 4 years. But that is what Giannis delivered. 28 points, 19 boards, 7 dimes to lead Milwaukee yesterday. 22 points out of Brook Lopez, 19 points out of Damian Lillard. So a very balanced effort out of the Bucks. Let's talk about that outlook deeper throughout this season for both teams. Denver still in a good spot around the Western Conference. A 5-1 price, second best number, only behind the West best team in the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Nuggets do, based on the loss last night, fall a half game behind Memphis. The Grizzlies now back in the 2 seed. The Nuggets, the 3 seed. Really, that's the battle to watch down the stretch because the Thunder have a 9-game advantage for the number 1 seed. But Donnie, as we talk about Milwaukee, you see that 17-1 price on the Bucks? It is 4th best. And you got to double the number of the New York Knicks, who have the 3rd best price at 8-1, and then add on another buck to get to the Bucks. So it's not overly optimistic, but with where Milwaukee stands right now, just a half game behind Indiana for the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee currently in the 5 spot. Maybe it's worth a small sprinkle on the Bucks because of the pedigree and what Giannis and Dame could be.
No, you're right about it. And anytime you have those type of players here that have had some success, now still we're waiting on Lillard there. He's ring chasing in Milwaukee. It was a great spot for him to land, but Giannis already has that ring. You take a look at the other guy. What, you're scared of the Pacers if the Bucks line up in the playoffs? Right. Or heck, hey, the New York Knicks are ultra talented. Are the Bucks going to be scared of the New York Knicks? No. Like the major competition obviously is going to be the Cavaliers and the Celtics if they can get over the hump. But also understand this. These aren't one-game playoffs. Like you got to take on a healthy Giannis, hopefully, and a healthy Dame, hopefully, in the playoffs and beat them 4 times in a 7-game series. They're not just going to get plowed under. Even if they play the Celtics or Cavaliers, I don't see those as 4-1 series and just get off the court as a gentleman's sweep, if you will. Like, you look at those price points. 17-1, you probably would think entering into the year is like an NBA championship price for the Bucks. That's just to win the Eastern Conference. That's not bad.
Yeah, you remember Milwaukee a couple of years ago, they were the 1 seed against the 8 seed in the Miami Heat. Giannis got injured at the end of game 1. They got beaten, I think, the gentleman's sweep of 5 games. The Bucks they have been a little bit disappointing in their playoff outlook the last few years, but they do have an NBA championship to show for it. And Donnie, I think there's going to be a real argument to be made down the home stretch of this NBA season in the Eastern Conference. Again, the Cavaliers have a 6.5 game lead over the Celtics. they're not going to clinch in the next few weeks, but it's going to be very difficult for Boston to catch Cleveland atop the Eastern Conference. There is going to be an argument, though. The 4-5 series, the Pacers and the Bucks, more than likely right now, could be the spot to be because, yeah, you got to go through Cleveland. And the Cavs are going to probably have the NBA's best record by the time we get to the postseason. But with that being said, they do not have the playoff pedigree of the reigning NBA champs in the Boston Celtics, who are currently the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Let's go out to Los Angeles. The Lakers looking to continue their good play as of late. And that's exactly what they do. 4 straight wins now for Los Angeles. 111-102 at home last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Lakers cover as a 6-point home favorite. A total of 228 does stay under. Donnie, since January 19th, the Lakers have now won 14 of their last 17. They have covered in 12 of those 14 victories.
And they look good doing it. And by the way, you just look at some of LeBron James at age 40, 37 minutes, 21 field goal attempts, 4 of 9 from three-point range, 7 of 10 from the free throw line, 33 points, but also chipped in with 17 rebounds and 6 assists. Like the numbers that LeBron James is going to have when he finishes his career, I don't think are ever going to be touched again. Now, we're going to talk a little bit later in the show about Gretzky and Ovechkin and the goals, and like we don't think they're untouchable, but he's putting up numbers where it's like he looks like he has another 5 solid years left in the NBA, which is incredible to think of at this point. And the Lakers, if there's one way I can improve your basketball team, hey, Luka, don't ever shoot a 3-point shot ever again. We might never lose.
He was 1 of 9 from deep last night, but did score 21 points. It had 13 boards. Austin Reeves also pouring in 23 points. More in basketball up next.
Brady Tkachuk saying that if his brother did miss that overtime period against Canada like we saw him do, it must be serious out there. And of course, Brady Tkachuk, not a doctor, but you've got to wonder the status of Matthew Tkachuk and what we're going to find out.
Game time for all of these teams and all these players that were, teammates. Now they're facing off against each other. Now they're back to being teammates, whatever it might be. Like, it's time to get things rolling back in the right direction.
HL today, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You have Duke the 1, Houston the 2. They're the 2 best defensive teams in the country. I want to see them play for the right to go to the Final Four because I think that would be a kick-ass game.
Duke is really great on both ends of the floor. They can score and they can defend, and that's why they win by big numbers all the time, because they're really good on both ends of the floor. I don't trust Houston's offense.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Something about the day, February 27th, in Steph Curry's NBA career that really just gets the best out of the chef. A 56-point performance for Stephen Curry, single-handedly leading Golden State to a road comeback victory last night in Orlando, 121-115. Golden State does cover as a 4.5-point road favorite. A total of 212 and a hook goes 56 points out of Stephen Curry. 12 of 19 from beyond the arc. His 26th game in his NBA career with at least 10 made threes. Of course, that is an NBA record and was perfect from the charity stripe. DRS, Stephen Curry by himself, who scored 22 points in the third quarter where Golden State was trailing by double digits, outscored the Magic, who as a team combined had 21 points in the third stanza. Golden State continues to win with Jimmy Butler in the fold, make it 7 victories in the 8 games Butler has been in the lineup, and Golden State is covered in all 7 games, booked as a favorite. The Warriors are starting to rally here in the stretch run of this NBA regular season.
By the way, what's February 27th? What is that for Steph Curry's career? What's he doing the 27th?
So great stats from our producer, Joe Frizo. Back in 2013 inside Madison Square Garden, his 54-point game, making 11 threes, known as his coming out party per se on the national stage around the NBA. 46 points in 2016 against the Oklahoma City Thunder, including the infamous double bang call out of Mike Breen. And then last night, 56 points in 12 made threes on the road in Orlando.
And by the way, you take a look at Orlando. Say, how'd you lose this game? Paulo Banchero, 16 of 27 from the floor, 41 points. Franz Wagner, 39 minutes, 11 of 22 from the floor, 27 points. Why? Because KCP is out here playing 34 minutes and just doing cardio with 0 points. That can't happen, man. You can't have a starter play 34 minutes and not just be like a Rudy Gobert big that's like, don't even include me in the offense. Come on now, Orlando. We all know you're offensively challenged at times here. 115 should have been good enough to win that game. Play a little bit better defense on Steph Curry. And also, how about some of your starters at least get 1 or 2 points to help you out?
Yeah, maybe so. But when you have 40 points from Paulo Banchero, you should probably stay within the basketball game. They lose by 6, but they were a 4.5-point home dog. The Magic this year, DRS, 8, 16, and 1 against the spread as an underdog. They have not been good when expected to lose, but can't even really keep games within that margin. The Magic really solidified in that 7 spot at the moment, top play-in tournament team. They would host that play-in tournament game, only needing 1 victory, but it was an optimistic outlook this offseason for Orlando. They might fall short of that. Golden State making its rally in the Western Conference standings, now in the top play-in tournament spot, only a half game behind the Clippers for the 6th seed in the Western Conference, and out of the play-in tournament. Out is what we should be saying for the Phoenix Suns. Just wrap it up, man. When you're a 7-point home favorite against the second worst team in the Western Conference and you lose outright, it's over for the Suns. As Donnie predicted, saying the Pels were at least going to keep the game close, not just close, an outright victory as that 7-point road dog, 124-116. New Orleans shouldn't even be winning games, and yet they have won 3 in a row. The Suns absolutely need to win games exactly like that last night in the Valley. They can't even do that as a 7-point home favorite.
Yeah, KD already looking for his way out. Said that yesterday. He's like, you know what? I'll ride the season out, be the good soldier, put up some stats here, but I can't wait to get to my next basketball team is basically what he's doing. But also, Zion Williamson, losing a little bit of weight, 31 minutes out there, efficient, 13 of 17 from the floor. How about 10 rebounds? How about 11 assists? How about 27 points? A triple-double for Zion out there in Phoenix, and Phoenix loses another basketball game. I can't imagine 2 NBA teams again, Sixers and Suns, with the amount of talent they had to start the season that can't even beat horrible basketball teams when you have a chance with all of your starters on the court. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Kind of a crazy stat, DRS. First career triple-double for Zion Williamson, who did not attempt a single 3 last night, but was 13 of 17 from the floor. 27 points, 11 dimes, and 10 boards. In fact, all 5 starters for the Pelicans scoring in double figures. They had 2 guys off the bench pouring at least 10 as well, in Jordan Hawkins and Jose Alvarado. This New Orleans team, 7 players in double figures last night. 3 straight victories, 4 of their last 5. The Pels could be a nuisance to teams down the stretch trying to get into the postseason. We'll talk some college basketball, some college prospects, the combine, all of that when Hour 2 starts next.